Hi everyone. In this video, I'll be giving you a guided tour of the Avada Builder, a fully integrated and central part of the Avada website builder. The Avada Builder is an intuitive and easy to use page builder, with both a front-end live interface and a back-end drag and drop wireframe version. At the heart of the Avada Builder is a system of containers, columns, and elements for creating and displaying site content. Even the foundational structural elements, the containers and columns, are fully featured design elements in their own right, with a huge range of options, including options for alignment, responsive sizing, background content, and full control over margins and padding. Inside these structural columns, you can then add any of the builder elements, which allow you to add and display content in any number of different ways. Combined with Avada's extensive global options, localized page options, and the Avada Layouts templating system, Avada Builder allows you to build beautiful, well-designed, and even highly complex websites without any coding knowledge at all. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest videos like this one. And if you don't want to miss one, click the bell icon to get notifications of all new videos on our channel. Okay, there's a lot to cover, so let's begin. I've imported the Avada Handyman Prebuilt website here, and let's start by opening the site in the Avada Builder. On the WordPress admin bar, you can access the original wireframe Avada Builder with the Edit Page link, or the front-end builder Avada Live by selecting Edit Live. As you can see, you can also edit any component part of the page, such as the header or footer layout section or layout, or any forms, postcards, or off-canvases used on the page. But for now, let's just edit the page. This loads the page in Avada Live. As you can see, it looks pretty much identical to the site on the front end, but with the full editing power of Avada Builder right at your fingertips. When you are first in Avada Live, the only things that really differentiate it from the front end page is the toolbar along the top and the initial control icons overlaid on the content. It's when you mouse over these icons that you can fully see and access the complete range of element controls. Editing a container, column, or design element opens that element in the sidebar, where you can make any changes, which are of course reflected immediately on the live page. For example, I could edit the title at the top of the page here, and on the Design tab, I could add a gradient font color and select a couple of gradient colors. In Avada Live, any text-based elements can also be edited directly on the page. Just click inside the text you want to edit and make your edits. And if you make a text selection, the inline editor appears, with a range of typography options available for just that selection, including formatting color and even font size and font family. A major advantage of working with Avada Live, as well as being able to see and edit content as it looks on the front end, is that you can also access both the global options and the page options, each in their own tab, directly on the page you are editing. This is an awesome workflow feature. If you right-click over a container, column, or other element, you will also find a range of editing shortcuts to help you quickly undertake a range of workflow tasks, from copying and pasting elements on the page, or cloning, editing, or deleting. You can even save containers, columns, or single elements into the library for future reuse directly from this menu. To add a new element to a column, simply mouse over the element above where you want your design element to appear and click on the Add Element icon. This brings up the element dialog with the full range of design elements you can add to the page. Some elements will only appear if you have the associated plugin installed, such as WooCommerce or the Events Calendar, for example. Currently, there are over 90 available design elements with Avada Builder, and new ones are added regularly with the update cycle. You can also add any saved elements to the page from the library by going to the Library tab, or add nested columns within a column by going to the Nested Columns tab, or head to the Avada Studio tab to add from a range of professionally designed pre-built elements. For sections of the content not created directly on the page, like the header and footer, you will find links to edit them. For example, here, when we mouse over the header area of this pre-built site, we see an Edit Header Layout section link. These layout sections are also edited in the Avada Builder, as well as when creating any Avada forms, postcards, or off-canvases. So no matter what you are building in Avada, you will have the same common builder interface. Check out the links in the description for more information on all these amazing builder features. To save any changes to your work, there is a global save button located on the toolbar at the top of the page. This toolbar stays at the top of the page even when you scroll, and contains a range of tools and options to help you manage your page effectively. Let's quickly go through the options here. At the far left-hand side of the toolbar next to the Avada logo, there is the toggle sidebar icon. This opens the multi-purpose sidebar, which houses the global options, the page options, and the element options panel as we saw before. You can freely change between tabs, and any changes you make here update live on the page you are working on. If you prefer, you can change the location of this sidebar to the right via the preferences, and you can also get the element options to open in a standalone dialog instead of opening in the sidebar. There is a large range of preferences here, and once you have set your preferred options, they will stay that way from then on unless you change them again. Next to this is the Library button, which opens the Avada Builder library in its own window. This great time-saving feature allows you to save and easily redeploy a wide range of content with a few clicks. You can save containers, columns, and elements as both standalone or global items for deployment and instant updating across the site, and even import individual page layouts from the Avada Prebuilt sites and access the full range of Avada Studio Prebuilt items. For full details on how to use this very useful part of the Avada Builder, please see the How to Use the Avada Builder library video, linked below. Following this is the History States icon, which allows you to step back up to 25 steps through your edits to a specific point. Then we have the Builder Preferences icon we saw before, where you can set a range of preferences to customize the builder to your tastes. Next to this we find the Add button, with which we can add a variety of item types. And then there is a Clear Layout icon if you just want to clear the page and start again. On the right hand side of the toolbar there are more useful links. First up we find the Support icon, with links to support areas and keyboard shortcuts, which can be used to help speed up your workflow. Then there is the Responsive icon, with which you can preview and edit your page at different screen sizes, allowing you to fine-tune the responsive design of your site. Next to this is the Toggle Wireframe icon, which you can use to see and edit your content temporarily in a wireframe without going to the back-end builder. There's also a useful Preview icon, which allows you to quickly view your page without any open dialogues or builder controls. Following this are the Page Status icons, Publish and Draft. And at the far right is the Global Save button, which saves both options and any page edits with a single click. Finally, at the far right of the toolbar is the Exit icon, which allows you to exit to the front end of the page, the back-end builder, or the Avada dashboard. Now let's just look at how easy it is to build a new page using Avada Live. I'll just switch to the Avada Classic Prebuilt site here. I have created a new page, and now I'll just rebuild some of the homepage content. On a new page, you are met with the Starter page and the sidebar open to the Page Options Settings tab. Here you can name the page, select a parent page, or choose a template, and if needed, add featured images to the page. For this example, we will change over to the 100% width template. I'll also go to the Content tab and set the content padding to 0 pixels top and bottom, so the content sits right up to the header and footer. When building a page, there is a simple structure to follow. First, you insert a container, and inside that container you add a column or columns, and inside the columns you add individual elements. The interface leads you into this process naturally, to ensure the correct structure is followed. Let's add our first container by clicking the Add Container button. A pop-up window appears showing all the available container and column combinations. There is also the Library Containers tab, which allows you to quickly add any saved containers, and the Avada Studio tab, which, as I'm adding a container in this situation, here we could add any number of pre-built, professionally designed containers. Let's go back to the Builder Containers tab and add an empty container with a full width column by clicking here. The container with the 1-1 column is instantly inserted into the page. So both this container and column are elements in their own right and have a lot of configurable options of their own. And then inside each column is the Add Element button. But before we add any elements into this column, let's configure the container first. I'll edit that to look at the settings. Right at the start, I might name this container. I'll call this Hero at the top here. You don't have to do this, of course, but it's handy when you have lots of containers. Okay, the interior content width is set to site width, as you can see on the option, and for this I will leave it at that. I'll also leave the height on auto, but I'll set the column alignment to center. On the Design tab, I'll set 120 pixels bottom margin to create some space before the next container I'm going to add. And I'll set some padding on this container as well. For the top padding, I'm going to set it to 9 VW to push the column content down in the container. VW stands for viewport width, but you can also use any other valid CSS measurement here, like pixels or percentage. Now I'll just head to the Background tab, and then the Images tab, and set a background image for this container. I'll select my image, and I'll add this one here at full size. I'm also going to set a gradient on this container, so I'll move back to the Gradient tab and set that. I'll set both the start and end colors as color 8, but then I'll go into the global color options here and set an alpha level of -85. This is the way to add transparency to global colors. I'll also set the gradient end position to 70 and set the gradient angle to 152 degrees. Okay, we'll see the full effect of that when we have some content in there. In any case, that's our container. Containers take their height from the column inside and the content inside that. So next, let's look at the column. I'll edit that and go straight to the Design tab. Here, I'll just add 85 pixels bottom margin on this column to space out the column a bit, as I'm going to add another column under this later. Okay, now to add some content. I'll start with the title element. I'll just add some dummy content in here. We can't see it very well as the defaults here are designed for a white background, but if we move to the Design tab, we can style it however we wish. I'll start by aligning it to the center. I'll leave it as a H1, and I'm happy with the default H1 typography that's being pulled, but I'll change the font color to color 1, which in this case is white. I'll also add some margins to this element to constrain its width. I'll add 15% left and right margin, and 30 pixels bottom margin. You could possibly also apply this to the column instead depending on your goals, but I'll add it to the elements for more control, especially in responsive situations. Now I'll add a text block element, and I'll paste in my copy. I'll also align this to the center down the bottom here. Now on the Design tab, I will add that same 15% left and right margin and make the font color white as well. And I will override the default body font size here to 22 pixels and the line height to 38 pixels. Okay, so now I'm going to add another column. Again, it will be a 1-1 column, but this time I'll edit the column and change the content layout option to row. This allows me to add elements side by side, and here I want to add a couple of buttons. I'll also set the content alignment to center. On the Design tab, I'll set the bottom margin to 8.5 VW. Okay, now for some content. I'll add my first button, and this will link to the contact page, and say Get Started Today. Now let's style this a bit more on the Design tab. I'll leave the button style on default, which pulls the default button colors. With the button size, I'll leave it on custom as well, and add some padding to control the size. I'll set 20 pixels top and bottom, and 55 pixels left and right. I'll also increase the font size to 20 pixels, and the line height to 26 pixels. Yeah, that's looking good. I'll also just give it 30 pixels right margin to separate it from the next button, which I'll add now. This one will link to the About page, and it will say Discover More. I'll go to the Design tab now, and this time I will set the button to a custom style. Here I will change the button colors and the hover colors to color 8, and I will add some transparency in the alpha channel on both of the hover colors. I'll also scroll down near the bottom and apply the same padding and font size as the other button. Okay, that's my buttons. Let's now add a section separator at the bottom of this container. I'll add a new 1-1 column, and this time I'll clear the bottom margin. I'll add the section separator element, and for this I want the big half circle style, set to 60 pixels height. I will also turn the element visibility off for mobile to hide the effect there. I'll also just need to go to the Design tab and set the background color to white. Okay, that's our first container. That was easy, so let's make another one. I'll add a container with a 2/3 column this time, and I will edit the container and set the column alignment to stretch and the justification to center. I'll also just set some bottom margin on this container as well. Okay, so now I'll add a title element into the column and add my title. And I'll just go to the Design tab and center it and set it to a H2. Under this, I'll add a text block element with some lorem ipsum and center that as well. I want a separator under this, and I want it to be full content width, so I'll add another 1-1 column. On the Design tab, I'll set 55 pixels bottom margin, and now I will add the separator element. For the style, I'll set it as single border solid, and on the Design tab, I might just give it a border size of 2, and set the color to color 3. Okay, now I want 3 1/3 columns under this, but they will all be very similar, so I will just add a single 1/3 column, and when I'm done, I'll clone it a couple of times to save time. All I need to do to the column is set 120 pixels bottom margin. And now I can add my first element, which will be the icon element. I'll go to the classic icon set and choose these cubes here. The size is okay, but I'll scroll down and set the alignment to center here. Now on the Design tab, I'll just set 15 pixels bottom margin and reduce the border size back to 0. Now I'll add another title element and add my title. And this time it will be a centered H3 with a 10 pixel bottom margin. Under this I'll add a text block element. I'll just add some lorem ipsum again and center it. And on the Design tab, I'll set the font size to 17 pixels with a 30 pixel line height. And I'll set the color to color 7. Okay, that's our column. Let's clone this a couple of times, and I'll just quickly update the other two. Okay, I'll add one final column to this container. It will be a 1-1 column again, and I'll just accept the defaults here. I'll add an element, and this time I'll choose the postcards element. This element pulls both a pre-made design and specific content to the page. I will select the postcard called Featured Post, and it loads the postcard. I will leave the content source and the post type as posts, but I'll change the posts by option to categories, and under this I will just include the web design category. That doesn't look so good yet, but when I change the number of posts to 1, set pagination to no pagination, and then on the Design tab, change the number of columns to 1, and we can see our postcard element pulling a single post from the blog. Postcards are a powerful advanced feature, so make sure to check out what they do. And remember, if you want, you can also add lots of professionally pre-built content directly into your page with Avada Studio. With a couple of clicks, you can import all sorts of content blocks. If I go to add a new container here and head to the Studio tab, we can add any of the pre-designed Studio containers. Let's add one of these to the page. I'll just click on the plus button of the one I want to import, and Avada does the rest. The content takes a few seconds to import, and just like that I have a professionally designed container that in this situation is even pulling our own content. Check out the How to Use Avada Studio for more details on this awesome feature. Okay, let's save our work here and move on. By now I hope you can see how easy it is to work with the Avada Builder and how you don't need to know any code to build awesome page content. Now here at Theme Fusion, we think the front-end builder, Avada Live, is the bee's knees, and is definitely our recommended method of building your content. But there is also the original back-end wireframe builder as well, for those who prefer to work in that way. We saw you could access the wireframe builder from Avada Live for a hybrid building experience. But here I'll just head to the exit button, and I'll just control-click on Exit to Page Backend to open the full backend builder in a new tab. Here we can see the original Avada builder with its wireframe layout. All the same functionality is available in this builder as well, just in a different interface. With Avada, we believe in giving our users choice with their preferred workflow, and the builder is a big part of that. That said, we think if you use Avada Live for a while, you'll never go back. Okay, you might have noticed when I was building the page that when I added the elements into the Avada builder, they had specific values set. These default values are set in the Avada Global Options, in the Avada Builder Elements section, and then in the individual elements. These options set the default behavior of the specific element, allowing you to customize how they appear out of the box, which can be an enormous time saver. Back in the individual instances of the element, you can of course override these global options as you wish, giving you full flexibility on configuration choices for each instance of the element. You can also see the default options in the element, here in the option description, which is part of our options correlation system. You can then choose to keep or override that default value in the particular instance of the element. You can also see any editable global options as denoted by the cog icon, and if you click on the link, it takes you directly to that specific global option should you wish to change the global default rather than just locally. For more information on the Avada Options Network, please watch the video linked in the description below. Finally, let's just take a quick look at the Avada Builder options, found from the Avada dashboard under Options, Builder Options. For a full walkthrough, please see the How to Use the Avada Builder Options video linked below. But as you can see, this area allows you to set many builder options. Here you can enable or disable Avada Builder Auto Activation, as well as having the option to enable or disable any of the 130 plus design, layout, and form elements. You can also enable the Avada Builder on any of your registered post types, allowing you to use the builder wherever you want. You can also import and export your library content, enable or disable the sticky preview publish buttons, and remove any imported Avada Studio content. Okay, that's the Avada Builder. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that guided tour. We think the best way to experience the Avada Builder though is to just dive in and start building. Let us know in the comments what your favourite feature is. Also, please check out all the individual videos and documentation we have on our YouTube channel and support portal, as these cover an extensive range of Avada Builder and Avada features and scenarios in great detail. Okay, this concludes our Avada Builder guided tour video. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest videos, and if you have any questions or need assistance, please create a support ticket and our team will gladly assist you. As always, we want to thank you for choosing Avada.